The activity we've organized for LinguaMania tonight is an activity that asks participants to look at a group of words and determine just from what they have in front of them the origins of those words. In particular, we're asking them to find those words that come from birds, those words that represent an interspecies exchange, if you will, an interspecies borrowing, where our words are the way they are because we heard the bird song, because they carry something of an earlier relationship between humans and birds. So participants are asked to look at this group of words we have and guess amongst them which are the words that are related to birdsong and which are the words that come from something else. To make it more challenging, we've thrown words in from many different languages. So they're not only working with the English language, they'll be working with words from the Pacific Islands, from other European languages, and even some Asian languages. Our research group interprets modern languages broadly. So we're interested in languages as small as those who only have a few hundred speakers, to those as large as Mandarin Chinese that has it in the billions. We're an interesting group. We're comprised of myself, a pure linguist, a biologist who works in ornithology, and a conservationist who works with BirdLife International. The project that we're doing tonight looks at birdsong, and it links to the work that we're doing in modern languages, and that we're looking at place, and we're looking at how language is formed in place. And one thing that all languages of the world share is their experience of birds. And what's fascinating about that is that you can see hints of that relationship between humans and birds hidden in their languages. It's a marvelous and exciting and challenging aspect of linguistics to study, the study of onomatopoeia, and how this mimicry of the sounds that we hear in our environments is found in language, how it's hidden there, how we can trace the remnants of it after the arbitrariness of language has changed it, to trace it back to these origin stories of an interaction between a person and an experience. So the project that we're doing tonight is just giving participants in the LinguaMania event a taste of that, a taste of the, I would call it the sort of the detective story, the detective project, where you're given what we have now, but through that you can trace the history of a people as they interacted with their environment and as they interacted with other people. In terms of our larger research, we'll be exploring greater examples of onomatopoeia as an active force in language evolution. We'll be working with cultures that are more closely tied with their environments to see how that is still an active process in word formation, and how this practice of mimicry or echoing sounds in environments then shifts to words, to more conventional words in a language, and how that can happen through processes of metaphor or myth or storytelling. So it's a very fun project to be involved in. Language is so delightfully infinitely creative, and our activity is approaching that from the level of the word. And we're looking at many different creative processes that act upon the word. From the beginning, we're looking at that remarkably creative process of taking in your environment and translating what you hear into something that is language. And then how that is carried on over time and contact with other peoples, how it's carried on through different ideas and concepts, and is carried through to today in the words that we use. It shows sometimes where the original creative process is lost and replaced with something else. But it just carries in it proof that language is a creative process at all levels. And the process of origins of words, and the process of how they change and how we understand them now and how we reinterpret them now, just shows it just tells such a remarkable story of people and just the creative processes that go on in how we use language.